On a spring afternoon, our protagonist, Qin Guanglin, dropped his mail in a mailbox and set out to meet his online friend. But the meeting was scheduled an hour later. He thought that meeting online friends did not seem reliable enough, but since he had made an appointment, it was better to arrive there first. He was feeling nervous, although it was not his first time meeting an online friend. He had only known his new online friend for half a month, and they were already meeting offline because they really hit it off. He wondered what kind of person she was in real life. It was his friend who initiated the chat, and also the one who proposed to meet up. He thought that he should be mentally prepared to be disappointed, so that it would not get awkward just in case things did not turn out the way he wanted. He even wondered what if it was a honeypot scam, but he nudged all his thoughts off. He soon realized that they had not set a specific place where they could meet. He decided to sit at a milk tea shop and wait, as his outfit was too common, so it would be impossible for her to recognize him. Suddenly, someone called him from behind, and he turned around to see a pretty young girl waving at her. She was his online friend. He wondered how she recognized him so quickly. They both introduced each other, and she asked if he wanted to shake hands. He replied that they need not act so formal, to which she asked that it was their first meeting and he already wanted to walk arm in arm with her. She added that she did not expect that from him. He was stunned and quickly told her that it was just a misunderstanding. She chuckled and said that she was just messing around with him. She asked him to take a walk around the area. He remembered her telling him that she studied in that area itself and assumed that it was the reason why she wanted to meet in that area. Her name was Fang. Qin Guanglin was a little surprised, as the meeting was going very smoothly, and it was different from what he had imagined. Fang said that she would treat him with some milk tea. At the milk tea shop, she gave her order and was about to give Qin Guanglin's order too, until she realized something and stopped midway to let him give his own order. Surprisingly, he ordered exactly what she was about to say. When they sat down, he thought that although they hit it off when they chatted online, as she was the one who usually started conversations, but now that they were in person, he did not know what to say, as he had no experience. He sat there thinking about his next move when he noticed that she kept staring at him with a cute smile on her face. He questioned her about it, and she said that she was reading his face. He was amazed to know that she could do face reading. He noticed her dark circles and asked her if she did not sleep last night. She was caught off guard by this question, and she remembered how she was crying last night, holding herself. She was about to change the topic when the barista announced that their order was ready, thus changing the topic naturally. Even while going to fetch the drinks, he noticed that she had been staring at him. He wondered if he looked handsome. They both settled down with their drinks, and he asked her about her school, to which she replied that she was majoring in literature. He too explained how he was a creative freelancer. She whispered that it was like he was on a blind date, but then she quickly changed the topic. He then asked her for the result of his face reading. With an innocent smile on her face, she told him that the result was amazing and absolutely perfect. It had already been a month since they both met, and ever since then, they had been meeting regularly once a week. Just like how they met online, their meetings were not awkward or tense as the first time. It was hard for him to describe, but beneath Fang's lively outward appearance lay a gentle intellectual demeanor that put him at ease. He was drawing a portrait of her when she texted him asking if he was busy and if he would like to watch a movie together. They agreed to meet at the Zicheng Square later, and he realized that Zicheng was actually pretty close to the school that Fang went to, so it would be convenient for him to walk her home after the movie. He took a good look at the painting and went to the washroom, and on his way his mother stopped him and told him to clean himself up, as they were going out to buy stuff in the old streets of Zicheng. He refused, saying that busy. Her mother was shocked to hear that, as he usually stayed at home all day. He told her that he was going to meet up with a friend. Later, he was on his way to meet Fang, and he was carrying the painting with him. She had already arrived at the meeting point, and he asked her on text which movie she would like to watch, and she said that she would like to watch Terminator, as she had heard great reviews of it. This left him speechless, as he thought that girls liked light-hearted and funny movies only. He had seen all the movies in the Terminator series and had decided to watch a funny movie with her and would go see Terminator another day by himself. He was excited to know that she loved these movies too. While on his way, he realized that they had already talked too much and wondered what exactly was his relationship with Fang. Were they friends, best friends? He soon saw her sitting on a bench, and she greeted him with a smile. She noticed the painting case and asked him what it was. He gave her the painting and she hugged him, which made him shy and awkward. He asked her to go for the movie, but she told him that first she needed to put the painting on her dormitory wall, as taking it around with her would be inconvenient. He offered that he would hold it for the time being, but she replied that tons of people were coming and going, and if someone bumped into it, then it would be spoiled. He agreed, as her school was like a 10-minute walk away, and thus they would still be in time for the movie. They reached an intersection with a red light, and there were no vehicles coming in their direction, and the distance was short too, yet she waited for the signal to turn green before she crossed the road. He wondered if she had seen a tragic car accident before, and that was the reason why she was so cautious. Before crossing, he wondered where would she grab if he was not wearing a long-sleeve shirt, and out of the blue, she had held his hand while crossing. While crossing the road, he told himself that he was in his 20s already, and he need not be serious about holding hands. His mind and his heart were fighting whether it was romantic or not. When they crossed the road, she asked him if he was hungry, as it was about time to eat. His palms were sweating after she let go of his hand. She took him to a restaurant of her liking, and he noticed that the place was located in a corner and was not eye-catching at all. He wondered who would have thought that she would bring him there. He remembered the place, though, as he used to frequent the place with his friends often back when he was in college. The taste and service was great, and usually the regular customers were only seen there, and he thought that he too should be considered a regular. Just like he thought, the store owner quickly recognized him and asked if Fang was his girlfriend. This left both of them shocked and shy, and he cleared that they were just friends. Soon after sitting down, she chose what to order and asked him to check and add if he wanted anything different, but she had actually chosen items which he ordered every time he came there. After the order was placed, she was pouring tea, and he thought that whenever he looked at her, he felt an inexplicable tranquility in his heart. She snapped him out of his thoughts by thanking him for the painting. Soon the food was brought to them, and the owner asked her to order guanglin if she needed rice. He noticed that she was eating quite a lot, and asked if they should order a soup too, but she refused, saying that the tea was fine. She gave him her portion of the fish. She said that it was her thanking him for the painting. He was touched by her action. She added that she would pay, but he stopped her, saying that the shop owner would not take money from her. She said that she would pay for the movie tickets then. Meanwhile, as planned, his mother was also in the Esiching area with her friend. She was begging her friend to give her one of the artifacts which they had bought, but she refused, and suddenly their eyes caught Guanglin with a girl. Her mother was shocked to see her son with a girl, and she decided to follow him. She decided to follow them and see what they were up to, and she put on a mask and a pair of glasses to blend in the crowd and spy on them. While Fang was buying tickets for the movie, Guanglin quickly went to the food counter and ordered popcorn buckets and drinks. This made her angry, as they had decided that she would pay for the movie. He added that she did pay for the movie by buying the tickets. He asked her if she would like Coke or orange juice, and she denied either, saying that she would like milk tea. She said that the movie would start in 20 minutes, and thus she would go and buy milk tea from across the street. As soon as she left the building, he realized that he forgot to tell her that he liked carrot juice. Guanglin's mother and her friend were sitting outside the building, spying on them, and as soon as Fang came out, they wondered why she was alone. Fang noticed them and quickly ran away from them in the opposite direction. His mother's friend asked his mother if the girl recognized them. She added that she should teach his son to not let a girl buy him milk tea. Her friend was sad and angry that a loner like him was able to get a girl, but her son was still single. His mother was happy because she felt the warm and welcoming vibes from the girl. Both the women left soon, discussing how his mother should not question him right away and let things develop, as he would have to come to her for her approval anyway. Meanwhile, Guanglin was going through the movie catalog, and he realized that there were quite a few good movies, and if there were no other plans next week, then it would be nice to ask her out for another movie. Suddenly, Fang came and gave him his carrot juice, and an announcement was made that the cinema hall needed some temporary maintenance due to special reasons, and thus everyone should refund their tickets or change the showtime. They decided to exchange their tickets, but all the other slots were already booked for Terminator, so they decided to exchange for another movie, which was a funny and light-hearted one. The other movie evoked some kind of emotions in her, but she still agreed to watch it. Inside the theater, He thought about how he used to watch movies with his friends, but now he was watching it with a girl. She asked him where he was lost, and he told her how they could be watching Terminator if the other hall had not gone under maintenance. She whispered that it was originally for him only, but he did not hear her. While eating popcorn, he noticed that she was not eating and he offered her one, and while taking it in her mouth, her lips touched her fingers. He got shy and was blushing. She noticed him blushing and began teasing him. She too picked one popcorn and put it in his mouth while touching his lips. He wondered what happened to them being friends and how it could be like that. He turned tomato red by then because of the fact that he was being teased by a girl who was 2 years younger than him. He told himself that as someone who had experienced all kinds of complicated feelings, he would not allow himself to be so timid, and as a man he must have the dignity a man ought to have. He put his hand in the bucket to grab popcorn, and somehow it got tangled with her hand. He told himself it was a coincidence, but when he looked up, she gave him a sly smile. He thought of a plan to end the teasing. He thought of taking turns to feed each other, and he fed her, but she did not feed him back. He failed, and she won in the game of teasing. After the movie ended, it was almost 9 in the evening, and he asked if he should walk her home, and she gladly agreed. On their way, he asked if the movie was okay, and she said it was not bad. He knew that she did not pay much attention to the movie and decided to make it up to her by taking her to a better movie next time. At the moment, he needed something to talk about, and he asked her that if she could return to the past like in the movie, then what would she do? This question caught her off guard, and she was stunned for a while before briskly walking ahead, saying that how could something like it happen? She then asked him the same question. He thought about how he would return to the past when she was teasing him during the movie and grab her hand as a retaliation. Suddenly, she grabbed his hand as the signal was green. He again felt shy and began blushing. She was loosely holding his hand, but he gripped her hand firmly, which left her thinking. It was his way of taking his revenge for the teasing. She smiled and gripped his hand even tighter. He turned red, and thus in the end he was the one who went for wool and came back shorn. During their walk, he wanted to let go, but he was not satisfied. Soon they arrived at her dormitory building, and she tried to let go of her hand, but he held on to it. She asked him if he couldn't bear to let her go. This made him shy, and he pulled his hand back. Before she could leave, she confessed to him that she liked him and wanted to date. Under the yellow street light, she raised herself and kissed him on his lips and ran away. He stood there like a statue, thinking what his reaction would be. He squatted on the ground and thought about how it was a checkmate from her side. When he returned home, his mother sensed that something was different with him and asked him about it. He could not tell her obviously what was the thing, but he remembered Fang's orange-flavored lip balms. Without answering his mother, he quickly went to his room and thought about it was way past teasing now. The next day, he was staring at her profile and wondered what was the current situation. Had they started dating, or did it not count since he did not respond? Falling in love with someone in just 2 months was really incredible. But if he did not like her, then why would he spend so much time talking to her every day? Why would he stay up at night just to talk to her, and why would he be so free to meet her any time? He was thinking about his next move when suddenly his phone rang with a notification, and it was a good morning text from her. He was surprised to see that she was acting like nothing had happened the previous night. She asked him if he would go out to play with her. He realized that there was hope, as in the past. There would be a break of a few days between the days they would hang out, but this time, it was 2 days in a row. They decided to meet later that day, as she was going to complete a few tasks of her in Nanfei Road first. He quickly got ready and reached Nanfei Road. He thought that the street was long, so it was difficult to bump into someone. He wondered if he should stay in the intersection for a bit to see if she showed up and then pretend to be surprised, or should he walk around and look for her. He sent her a text asking where she was, and he heard her voice asking him what he was looking around for. She was right behind him, and when he turned, she gave him her usual innocent smile. He was speechless, and he managed to say that he came to see if he could help her in any way. He could not pretend now that they met by chance. She played along with him, and he asked where she was planning to go. She replied that she was mailing out a manuscript. He asked her why she traveled so far to mail a manuscript, as she could have done it in Zhicheng district itself. She asked him if he did not sleep well last night, as he had dark circles under his eyes. He said that there were too many mosquitoes, so he could not sleep. She began laughing at him, and he said that it looked like she slept really well, to which she replied that indeed she did sleep until it was bright outside. They reached the mail building, and when she was pulling out the manuscript from her bag, he asked her what kind of manuscript it was. She told him that it was a novel which she had written when she had nothing to do, and she planned to submit it to a publishing house to see how it went. He was smitten by her beauty and was lost in it. Later outside, she asked him if he was in a daze, staring at her inside. He blushed and was shy and could not answer. She added that her business was done and asked him where they should go next. He asked her if she wanted to go anywhere, and she replied that he told her that he lived nearby, and thus she wanted to go to his house. When his mother opened the gate, she was shocked to see her son with the same girl. Fang introduced herself to his mother, and before she could say anything else, he added that she was his friend. His mother was warm by then, and she invited her inside. She told her that he barely brought any friends home, and she was the first female friend whom he brought home. He felt embarrassed by this revelation. He brought her only because she wanted to see where he painted, and he could not resist her puppy eyes. His mother made her sit on the sofa, and he told her that his studio was inside, but she did not move from the sofa. He understood her motive, and his mother sent him to bring her a glass of water. Fang told his mother that he actually had always wanted to take her to see his studio, but she never had the time, so it had been put off until then. He was shocked to hear that because he never told her that. His mother thought that they had known each other for a long time. Fang further told her about her course and her school. When he brought them water, Fang thanked his mother instead of him, which made him furious. His mother soon left them alone to talk as she had to fetch groceries. She asked her to stay for lunch. Fang was amazed and surprised by this invitation, and she said that she would only be staying for a bit longer. His mother asked if they had plans later, to which he replied with a no. She then ordered them to stay for lunch before leaving the house. Fang asked him to show her his studio. His studio was anything but tidy, with paper balls thrown all around the studio and his paintings scattered on the floor. She began picking up each item from the floor and asked him to take out the garbage. 20 minutes later, the studio was clean. He thanked her for helping him clean the studio, and she said that it was a token of thanks for lunch. She then, with a sly smile, asked him where his room was. She went down the hallway and opened a room, which was indeed his room. As soon as he opened the door, she took a deep sniff of the room. The scent reminded her of something. He thought that his room was stinking, but it was not possible, as he always kept the windows open. Soon she said that she was feeling tired and said that she sat on his bed. He was red by now, and she asked him to join her in bed. He asked her what she was trying to do. She asked him instead what was with those expressions of his, as he clearly had dark circles, and thus should lie down for a bit. He thought that it was his room after all, and thus he should not be afraid to lie down. He too got on bed next to her. She whispered in his ears that they were sleeping in one bed. This made him blush and shy and all red. He yelled that he thought they were just resting for a bit. She again began teasing him by saying what he was panicking for, as it was his room and his house and he need not worry. He brought up last night's confession, and she quickly said that she remembered that he confessed to her, but she had not agreed yet. This left him dumbstruck and speechless. He asked her when did he confess to her, to which she replied that he did it in front of her dorm building and that he even kissed her. He was too stunned to speak. He began questioning his own sanity because of the confidence with which she had told him. He questioned himself that how could he not remember wrong. He then asked her if she accepted his confession. She said that he had already kissed her, to which he asked if they were already dating now. She refused it and said that he would have to make a formal confession again. He sighed and confessed to her, saying that he liked her and wanted to date her. Before she could reply, her mother got home and heard the confession, although she acted like she did not. Fang told him that she could not reject his proposal now, as her mother had already heard it, and if she rejected now, then she would not be able to stay and eat the lunch she made. He accused her of doing it all on purpose, but she played along, saying that she did not know that his mother was back. She got up from the bed and came close to him. He asked her what she was trying to do, to which she replied that she just wanted to get out of the room. She kissed him on his cheek and walked out of the room. She went to the kitchen to help his mother, and his mother was greatly impressed by her. The lunch was set on the table, and when he came, his mother scolded him. Meanwhile, He Fang had already brought rice servings for all from the kitchen, and his mother was about to tell her that she ate less when she saw that she had already given her a small portion. She wondered how she knew that she ate so little, and she asked her. The question left her speechless for a bit before she explained that her mother too ate less, and thus by accident she served her less too. They all sat down for lunch, and he realized that in a very short amount of time she was able to integrate herself in his family. She was not just skilled in dealing with him, but with his mother too. His mother appreciated her cooking, and he wondered if she even had any flaws. His mother wondered what He Fang saw in his son. After finishing his portion, he still was not feeling full, so he decided to get another serving, but He Fang stood up and grabbed the bowl from his hands. As soon as He Fang went to get rice for him, his mother kicked him and scolded him to get it himself next time. After eating, she told his mother that she would clean up, but she did not let her do it. She went ahead and began watering the plants, and his mother asked him to get dish soap from Uncle Pan's shop as they had run out of it. While billing, Uncle Pan asked him if he brought his girlfriend home, and he was shocked to hear it from him. He asked him how he knew, and he said that everyone saw that he brought a girl home, and his mother went to get a big heap of groceries. He called Uncle Pan a genius, and before leaving he picked up a few lollipops, and Uncle Pan asked if we would not get other snacks as girls loved them. Uncle Pan added that when the girl was wandering there a few days ago, he did not think that she was looking for him. This made him confused, and he left the store. He reached, and his mother told him that she was in his room. When he entered his room, he saw her rolling on the bed, and he told her that he did not know what she liked, so he bought a range of items. She said that the privilege of being his girlfriend was coming into effect really quick. He asked her what privileges he would get for being her boyfriend. She opened a bag of chips and fed him the first chip, saying that he would always be getting the first chip in the bag. He blushed and asked her if that was the only privilege, and she asked what else he wanted. He could not answer, and she got really close to him. Their lips were just an inch apart, and she asked if he needed that, saying that she picked a chip and kept it between her lips and said that if he wanted it, then he should come and get it himself. He flustered him completely, but he reached out to kiss her, but just before they could do it, his mother came in with a tray of watermelons. Catching his son about to kiss a girl, she left as quickly as she entered the room. He was ashamed and shy. He curled up on the bed because of the embarrassment and wondered if all women were monsters like her. She got close to him and whispered in his ears that she was pregnant. He got up in a jolt of confusion and surprise, and she held his hand and brought it up to her belly and told him that it was his baby. He was amazed to see how soft her skin was, but as soon as he heard what she said, he jumped up and panicked. She explained that he kissed her last night and thus she would get pregnant. He was fuming with anger and asked if it was not she who kissed him. He again curled up on his bed thinking about how she was teasing him, and suddenly she hugged him from behind, spooning him. She was playing with his shirt, and he asked her not to do so by grabbing her hand, and he realized how soft her hands were. He fell asleep holding her hand. When he woke up, she was not around, and it was already 5 in the evening. He grabbed a glass of water, and as he chucked it, he tasted orange flavor on the rim of the glass. Her mother asked him to sit with her and told him that she left a while ago. She asked him if they were sure about their relationship, and this caught him off guard. He asked her if she did not see it all during lunch, to which she said that she did not see her agreeing with him, and he did not even bring her a gift when he confessed. She asked her how they met, and he explained to her that she was his junior. She told him that she was still in school and he was not doing the right thing. He flustered and told her not to make it sound like he was a pedophile, as she was about to graduate from college, although he always felt like the younger one when they were together. After talking about them for a while, he left in embarrassment and told her that he would have his dinner later. He went to his room and wondered how she became interested in him at the first place. He texted one of his friends named Xiao Yu to ask him how to tease a girl, as he had 2 romantic experiences and thus he knew things. His friend, Xiao Yu, knew from the way he was texting that he did not even know the difference between teasing and pursuing a girl. He taught her a cheesy line and he decided to test it on her. He texted her asking for her zodiac sign, and she asked him instead, and he replied that he belonged to the year of the dog. She replied that he belonged to her. He again asked Xiao Yu for another trick as he failed in the first try. He wanted to learn an ultimate technique, and his friend taught him Kabadan, and he decided to use it the next time she would tease him. He chatted a little more and he asked her about why she accepted him, but she did not reply. He thought that he did not believe in love at first sight, as there was zero understanding between each other and it just took one meeting to like each other. Was it even possible? According to him, it was all about lusting after someone's body, otherwise who had ever heard of someone unattractive falling in love at first sight? From the time he knew her, she always took the initiative. Adding him as a friend to meeting up in real life, and when he started to like her, he made him confess. He wondered if she wanted his body. During dinner, his mother appreciated He Fang's cooking and remarked that she must be cooking for her family from a young age, based on her skills. He told her that he needed to find a job as freelancing was not doing it for him. Her mother told him that he was doing good and was able to support himself, but he replied that now it was not just about supporting himself, as he had her, He Fang, too. His mother was happy to see him being a responsible man. Later that night, he was researching a good-paying job and he suddenly noticed that the pillow still carried the fragrance and subtle scent from her shampoo. He was drowsy and he saw her in his room in a pretty pink dress, looking absolutely pretty. She was again teasing him and turned red. She held his cheeks and got close to him and asked him why he was blushing so much. She was too close to him, and when she opened her mouth, her vampire teeth were visible. She asked him if she was pretty. Soon her body transformed into that of a wolf, and she began tormenting him with the same question before she could eat his face. He woke up from his nightmare. It was way too early in the morning, and he could not go back to sleep, so he decided to look for jobs, and suddenly he received a text from her. She asked if he was free later that day. He thought for a while how he should prioritize solving his issues with work first, but then he ended up texting her that it depended on her what she wanted to do. She told him that she wanted to go to the amusement park with him. They decided to meet later. After their conversation, he questioned himself why he didn't turn her down, as he accepted her request without any hesitation. Later, his mother brought him 3 eggs as it was his birthday and told him to hurry up and develop a good relationship with He Fang so that she could take over from her and she would be free of him finally. It was a tradition to eat eggs at birthdays as it could make people more insightful, but he did not believe it. His mother told him to invite He Fang for dinner under the context of celebrating his birthday. He told her about their plan in the afternoon and said that they would eat out that night. He was confused because his mother was talking more about her than him, even on his birthday. She also advised him to handle her with care and make sure he did not bore her. Later at the amusement park, he saw that she was wearing the same dress she wore in his dream last night. A pretty pink dress. He was staring at her when she asked him why he was looking at her and wondered if she was looking ugly. He noticed a box in her hands, but she quickly hid it behind. Later, when they entered the amusement park after keeping their things in the locker, they were confused as to where to begin. She wanted to try roller coasters, giant swings, and drop towers. He was shocked to hear her choice, as they all were pretty intense rides. She asked him if he was scared and he gave her a sly smile. They were walking when he noticed that she was not keeping up with him. She told him that he was forgetting something, but he had his phone in his hand, so he did not know what else he forgot. She sternly reminded him that he forgot her. He quickly grabbed his hand and continued walking. On their way, she told him that he was texting her some sweet talk the last day. He replied that it was not just him, as she too was replying to the texts. She said that since he made some progress, she would reward him. He blushed and said that it might not be the best place for a reward. She walked ahead and said that in that case it might have to wait. He realized that she was dominating him. He was flustered to read that the roller coaster was over 900 meters, long as he had only gone on children's roller coasters, which were less than 200 meters. When they settled down on their seats, she asked him if he was scared, and he tried to act tough, but deep down he was indeed scared. She held his hand and told him not to worry, as she was there. The ride began, and obviously he was scared, but when he saw her enjoying it, he gained confidence. She taught him how to scream, and he followed. By the end of the ride, he loved it and did not fear it anymore. When the ride ended, they went to the photo booth of the roller coaster and chose the best picture to take home. The photo had turned out great, and they were really happy with it. He realized that during the payment, they did not fuss over who would pay, and she ended up paying, and he liked how understanding their relationship was getting. She persuaded the shopkeeper to give her a digital copy of the photo too. Outside, he asked her which ride they would go to next. She told him to hold onto the photo and grabbed his hand to take him to the next ride. He asked her why did not they get 2 copies instead of 1, and she asked if he was planning to break up with her because he needed his own copy. He was left speechless. Their next ride was the suicide machine, and just a look at it left him all blue. 2 hours later, they sat down to relax and she decided to take a selfie together. She remarked that in the future she would throw out all the checkered shirts, his because of how tacky they were. She said that no one made peace signs anymore while taking pics. They took more pics, but she was still not satisfied and he wanted to end it, and so she told him that she would kiss him if he continued to be disobedient. Falling in her trap, he gave in and ended up clicking more selfies. She made him put one of the pics as his wallpaper. Later, he asked her if she was tired and wanted to go to the rest area and take a break. She agreed, and they sat down with their respective drinks. She again knew beforehand what he would order. She saw a claw machine in the corner and he asked her if she wanted him to win something. She said that he did not know how to play it. He tried to explain, but she ended the conversation saying that there were no toys that she liked anyway. She made him promise that he would win a prize the next time she sees something amazing. He saw a haunted house and asked her if she would like to check it out. She looked visibly scared and he knew he got an upper hand. Up until then, she was really easygoing and chill, and this was the first thing which made her scared. She finally agreed to go inside but told him not to scare her on purpose. As soon as they entered, a skeleton robot scared her so much that she hugged him. The staff let them inside the house and made sure to tell the creepiest things which would unsettle them. She clung to him like a baby all the time. He explained that they used darkness to induce fear and they used fake props, and as long as she remembered this, she would not be scared. As soon as he completed, a witch prop pulled down from the ceiling in front of them, but he made sure that she was not really scared of it. Suddenly, a voice caught their attention. It was a zombie carrying a sword and coming in their direction. They both were scared to see the zombie, and he quickly grabbed her hand to run, but her legs were terribly shaking. He did not know that there would be actual humans acting in the haunted house. If he would have known earlier, he would not have forced her to come. In the heat of the moment, he picked her up in his arms and carried her. Fortunately, he had worked out in his college days, and so his muscle foundation was quite strong to hold her. 8 minutes later, the zombie was still chasing them. He was matching his speed, whether he sped up or slowed down. If he showed even a hint of stopping, he followed behind closely, and that would not work forever. He noticed that there were a lot of rooms along the passageway. He took a gamble and hid in one of the rooms. He planned that if the zombie would find him, then he would ambush him and attack. She looked more scared and hid her face in his chest. After some time, he assumed that the zombie was gone as he could not hear him. He said that it was their chance to run away, but she told him that thanks to a certain someone hugging her too tightly, she could not get up. They got out of the room, holding hands, and they passed most of the hurdles and were almost close to the exit. He said that she did not look as scared as she was when they got inside. Without saying anything, she pulled him close and kissed him on the lips. When they broke the kiss, she added that ever since he picked her up in his arms, she was not scared. They left the haunted house soon, but he had no memory, as only the lingering feeling of her on his lips was what he remembered. Outside, he asked what they should do next, and she said that they should exit the place. He wondered how she did everything so naturally, as they had not been dating for that long. Holding hands was enough at that point in their relationship, but he wondered if kissing and hugging was a bit too fast. They got back to their locker and she pulled out the box she was hiding from him. He asked her what it was, but she told him it was a secret and that he needed to wait. She offered him her hand and asked him to hold it. They reached a pier and she asked one of the boat owners for a big boat which could seat 4 people. It was a pedaling duck boat and they set out in the lake. She sprinkled fish food in the water, and they both were amazed to see a school of koi fish eating. She explained that if they kept sprinkling it alongside the boat, then the school of fish would follow them. He was amazed by this. Soon he asked her about her test, and she replied that it went well. She told him that it was for her teaching certification. He was surprised to know that she wanted to be a teacher. He could not imagine her scolding students. She wanted to be an elementary school language teacher. It had great perks for her. He told her that he had heard that the job of a teacher was really stressful, and there was nothing fun about it. She got close to him and told him that from then on she would be calling him Student Kien, and asked him to call her MS. He. He turned red and denied doing it, saying that he was her senior and she should be instead calling him older brother. She gladly agreed to it and called him older brother Kyin. He got shy hearing that and told her to forget about it. He asked to rather call him student Kyin. She stopped teasing him and asked if he was looking for a job, and he replied with a yes. She asked him why he was looking for a job so early. He asked what she meant and why she said that. Her face's color was gone. To divert the situation from whatever she was saying, she said that he wasn't doing pretty well. She added that there was no rush to get a job at that moment. He could easily wait for a couple of years. To this, he replied that he could only gain more experience working. Besides, he can only support himself barely enough through the outsourcing money that he got. She told him that he did not need to worry so much about new job as he only needed to support himself. He said that he was preparing in advance so that in the future he won't have any more problems. As a counter question, he told her that she hadn't even graduated yet, and she was testing for a certification, and that was real urgency. Soon she asked him to stop pedaling as she wanted them to stay there for a while. She asked him to close his eyes. He was questioning her demand, and she asked him what he wanted her to do as she could fulfill whatever desire he had. He knew she was plotting something again. He still closed his eye and told her that she could do whatever she wanted. He waited for her to do something, but she didn't even touch him. She finally asked him to open his eyes. She had put out a birthday cake for him and asked him if he expected it, and was he surprised? He asked her how she knew it was his birthday, but she changed the topic. She asked him to make a wish and reminded him that the thing was still valid where he could ask her for anything. He again turned red. He asked her to close her eyes, and then slowly he got close to her and quickly kissed her on her lips. He thought to himself that next time he would kiss her for a longer time like he saw on the TV. She opened her eyes and told him that she gave him a chance, but he didn't fully grab it. He wondered if he could do more than what he did. He began blushing. He confessed that it was his first time kissing a girl. Soon they began eating the cake, and she told him that her birthday had already passed and asked him what could they do now. He said that they could wait for her next birthday, but this idea seemed unfair to her. She told him that he already made a wish, but she would have to wait for 1 year to make her wish. She added that it would mean that she would be one wish behind him. He knew that whatever she was thinking was something not normal, and his intuition was telling him to be cautious. He accepted her offer but told her that she could not be overboard with her request. She smiled and finally told him her wish, which was that he would need to kiss her first thing whenever they would see each other every day, another case when they would say goodbye to each other. As usual, he again began blushing and turned red, to which she asked if it was too much. He tried to act off and said that it was fine with him. Soon her promise was settled, and she told him that their agreement was effective immediately and would last forever. They hooked pinky fingers and promised each other. He began grinning when he calculated that they would be approximately kissing around more than 700 times each year. They had already eaten half of the cake, and then she asked him if he had any idea what they would do with the rest of the cake. They ended up feeding the fish the cake. She saw a piece of the cake hanging on his cheek, and she ate it, which made him flustered and red. He wondered what kind of a human she was. She then pulled out the map of the amusement park and asked if there were any other places that you wanted to visit. He told her that it was up to her, and if she was feeling tired, then they could end their trip. They decided to have dinner later together, and when he asked if she had any place in her mind, then she said that she wanted to have dinner at his place. She rested her head on his shoulder and said that she wanted to have dinner with Auntie. He thought that they had just started dating and it was developing too quickly, and coming to his place often may give others a bad impression. He explained to her the situation, and she asked him to be proactive too. She confessed that she liked him too much, and she had no idea what she should do. He confessed to her in return that he too liked her a lot, and that's why they were dating. They held each other's hands, and she told him that she would cook dinner for them. She again kissed and assured him to leave everything to her. After their boat ride, they were enjoying the lake's view, and he said that she had already met his family and asked her when could he meet her family. He thought to himself that he should not wait for her to invite him, and he should rather take the initiative as they had already kissed and touched her. She suddenly asked him why he was so responsive. He said in a lower voice that he should be responsible for her. He said that they should get everything settled. After all, they had already touched all the bases. She was stunned when she heard about all the bases being touched. She asked him what he meant by touching all the bases. She also asked him when they did what he was saying about it. She began teasing him because of how innocent he was. He said that they should quickly settle their marriage too, but she laughed and said that there was no need to rush things as she had not even graduated yet. She added that once they would touch all the bases in reality, then they would think about marriage. She teased him that there were still a lot of things which he needed to learn. She asked him to relax as she would teach him everything he needed to know in due course. Later, while grocery shopping, everyone was teasing him because he was walking with her. She grabbed his hand to tease him even more in front of everyone in the market, and this turned him red. He rushed quickly to avoid any more embarrassment. She knew all the ingredients by heart which she needed that night for dinner, and this amazed him. He asked her how she knew everything. She again changed the topic. She asked him if he believed in superstitions and told him that she was capable and knowledgeable, and he just needed to listen to her, for everything she said was true. He asked her if she was serious about the face-reading thing she did on their first meet, and did she know back then that they were destined to be together? She affirmed it and said that she knew in just a glance. He asked her what else she could tell about him, and she said that he didn't smoke and had a scar on his right foot from a cut from a broken bowl when he was little. He also had a mole on his left thigh. He was dumbstruck by her accuracy and details. She asked if he believed her now, but he was too speechless to say anything. They reached his home and she took one bag from his hand, saying that it would not look good if carried all the bags himself. When they entered the house, his mother asked him why they were back so early. She told his mother that she would be in her care again. His mother's mood suddenly changed when she saw her. She quickly went to her and asked why she did not let him carry the heavy bag. She asked why they had bought so much, and she explained that he had told her that it was his birthday, and thus they decided to have a good dinner together. His mother was glad that her son was growing up into a responsible man. She told both of them that they could go and have fun and she would do the cooking. He Feng jumped and told her not to worry as she and King Guanglin would prepare the dinner. She insisted her, and his mother finally gave up and let her cook. After his mother was gone, they began preparing the dinner. He asked her why she wanted to cook, and she replied that she wanted to hone her cooking skills so that one day she could cook for him a lot. This again made him blush and weak in his knees. He was amazed by her knife skills as she was constantly giving him instructions while cutting the fish, and this made him weary as he thought she would cut her finger. He acted as her assistant cook the entire time. Soon her mother came to check how they were doing and left quickly as she wanted them to improve their bond. He asked her if she had worked in a kitchen before, but she changed the topic. He then asked her if she was a snail girl, to which she replied that would he still like her if she was really one. He then said that if that was the case, then didn't she need to return to the river where she came from? She teased him by saying that she would sleep in his room. He was shocked to see how unreserved she was with her jokes. They were midway through their cooking when he noticed her figure for the first time in detail. He blushed and looked the other way to distract himself. Soon the dinner was ready, and his mother was in awe to see the delicious food. She asked he ran to sit and rest, and she sternly asked him to serve the food to them. She was amazed by how good the food looked and asked where she learned it from. She replied that she often cooked for herself, and thus she learned a bit of cooking by practicing. She told his mother that if she liked her cooking, then she would not mind cooking for her again. She scolded him for not even saying thank you to her for preparing a delicious dinner for his birthday. He defended himself by saying that he treated her well and that it was no big deal. He thought to himself that on days they hung out, she always displayed her strengths and her liking for him. In comparison, he could not find any decent qualities in himself. He wondered why such a good person was interested in him. He was lost in his thoughts when his mother's scolding brought him back. After the dinner, he was about to do the dishes, but Fang came and told him that it was her time to shine and asked him not to dare mess with her, as he would be washing the dishes in the future anyway. She began washing, and he looked around and then quickly whispered in her ears that he liked her. He began blushing and gave her a quick kiss, which caught her off guard. She then retaliated with a kiss and asked him, where did he learn to be so naughty from? He replied that she only taught him. She whispered to him that after she was done with the dishes, she would teach him another thorough lesson. This turned his cheeks blood red. He thought that she would do something really naughty, and he refused the offer. She warned him that he would regret it. Suddenly, his mother came and told them that she was going out for a walk. Before leaving, she told him to escort her, as it was not safe for a girl to go out alone at night. After his mother left, she said that she was really tired and thus wanted to rest in his room. She went to his room and lay down on the bed. He brought her a glass of water, and she asked him to feed it to her with a grin on her face. He did as he said, and she told him that if he would not feed him, then she would feel unsettled. He asked what she meant, and she told him to lie down and she would tell him. He knew that if he would lie down, then she would begin teasing him. He failed, but ended up lying next to her on the bed. She said that he had seen how hard she had worked and asked him if he would not treat him a bit better. He asked if he wasn't treating her nicely. She began playing with his earlobes and said that he got too defensive around her. He confessed that he was afraid that she might bully him. She told him not to worry, as she would let him do it on his own when the time was right. He asked what he meant and thought to himself that he was about to lose his purity. She grabbed his hand and asked him if he wanted her to teach him step by step. He fumbled and got up, held her hand, and said that in order to make her happy, he would work his hardest. He said that he kissed her hand. Seeing the opportunity, she opened her arms and asked him to kiss her. He got on top of her and kissed her, but it was a short kiss, and she asked if that was all. She asked him if it was something that all boys instinctively knew, but she soon realized that he was too innocent and had just not figured it all out yet. He reminded her that she was 2 years younger than him. This left her stunned for a second. To change the topic, she began laughing and rolling on the bed and called him adorable. She told him that seeing him made her happy. She told him that she would indeed teach him all the lessons that he had missed, but first she wanted him to sleep with her. He asked her if sleeping together wasn't too inappropriate. He thought to himself that she was lying flat out on the bed, and if he were to embrace her, then he would have to lay on top of her. She nudged him again to go to sleep next to her. He gave up and laid next to her, but asked her not to do any weird things. She hugged him tight, buried her face in his t-shirt, and told him to wake her up at 8 if she did not wake up before that. He embraced her by clutching her shoulder with the hand she was sleeping on. He didn't know if it was her shampoo or her body wash, but whatever it was, it smelled really nice. Hugging her felt really comfy, and he had an urge to hug her tightly. He did it, and he realized how delicate and beautiful her body was. He felt her body rubbing against his crotch, and he turned red as his thing was reacting to the touch. To distract his evil little thing in his pants, he decided to think about something else. He noticed how both their ambitions were perfect for each other. He was trying really hard for his evil member to not react when suddenly his phone began vibrating. It was a text from one of his friends who asked him if he was looking for a job, as the studio he was working in was hiring. He gave him the address and decided to get there tomorrow. She asked him if hugging felt nice, and he agreed with her. He could feel her chest pressing against him tightly, and he asked her not to move a lot. He had finally managed to calm his evil member, but it began reacting again. She noticed it too, got on top of him, and asked if he was having naughty thoughts again. She warned him that she would bite him to death if he dared to do something like that. He tried to think of something else to divert his mind, but he could only imagine her at that moment. She said that he was not being honest, as why was she feeling that way if he was not feeling naughty? He had no reply. She really bit his hand and got out of bed. With an angry look on her face, she told him that she would not let him hug her if he was not being honest with her. She went to the kitchen to check how the radishes were marinating, leaving him alone in the room. After she left, he realized how embarrassing the entire thing was. He asked himself, how could he be like that knowing that she had not even graduated yet? He began researching the hiring thing his friend told him to distract his mind. Suddenly, he noticed that she was standing behind him. She began laughing, seeing his reaction. He tried to ignore her, but he could not as she lay on top of him, hugging him softly. Thank you for watching our video. If you like our romance manhwa recaps, please consider subscribing to the channel. You can also watch a similar romance manhwa story by clicking on this video right here.